Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Great to see you. Thanks for being here. I am very pleased to be introducing our very own John Orlock, who is a parishioner, a playwright, screenwriter, and professor of English at Case Western Reserve University. Today he is kicking off a series that he proposed to me some months back, a series that has come to be titled The Mystery Plays, a Tapestry of Medieval Wonder and Belief. This series will begin, of course, in the season of Advent. Actually, it really began last week with William Gaudry's presentation on Lord of the Rings, fitting as it sort of does into a medieval world, although not literally, maybe in spirit. But John will do two forums on the mystery plays, these medieval mystery plays now in Advent, and then we'll pick up again in Lent, so that is something to look forward to. Without further delay, we'll introduce you to John.
Good morning.
Good morning.
300 years before Shakespeare, the mystery plays were a cycle of 48 short dramas dealing with the major events of the Christian calendar. And in this we went from creation through doomsday, all in a single day. Talk about span of attention and span of interest. This is going. And these were scripts that we don't know who wrote them. They're anonymous, most likely written by a monk. And there are 4 extant scripts, and the one that we will be looking at today, and to some degree next week, but also in the spring, is from York. And we'll come back to that in just a moment, but it's part 1. We're going to start with a word. And the word is mystery. And the dictionary says something that is difficult to explain or understand. And at the core of this, at the core of what we'll be dealing with today and next week, is the idea that our lives are enmeshed in mystery. Mystery is something that, and as we'll see in a moment, can be both secular and spiritual, and often there's an interface between the two. And one of the first mysteries that had come into my life was Santa Claus. Santa Claus, I think there's such a value in teaching kids to believe in Santa Claus, because it's having to deal with something and believe in something you can't explain. how does Santa Claus go around the earth with all these kids and with reindeer? And when I was little, I was concerned that we had a fireplace, but it was a fake fireplace, and it wasn't really a chimney. He's never going to get down that. And it was explained that they'll come in the front door. And lying awake as a kid and listening, a mystery. And in the church, we have mystery, a religious belief based on divine revelation, especially one regarded beyond human understanding. That is, the mystery of Christ. There's an archaic use of the word mystery to represent the Eucharist. In the Catholic tradition, on the Rosary, you go through a series of 5 cycles of prayer, and each one of those is supposed to be contemplation on one of the mysteries of the Church. Christ's crucifixion, the mystery, Christ's birth, the transubstantiation. Mystery is also, in these plays, not only is it a title that deals with these spiritual, these transcendental questions. Mystery was also a name for the guilds, the craftsmen guilds. And the guilds were the ones who were the sponsors of each individual play. Each guild would be assigned a play, extraordinary coordination. And the play would be connected with whatever their craft was. For instance, the play of Noah is by the shipbuilders. The goldsmiths did the play of the 3 wise men approaching. And the participants in these dramas were all part of the community. So you would see your butcher out there playing Judas. You'd see your neighbor playing John the Baptist or Adam. And all of this is a community situation, mystery, and the reason that the guilds were called mysteries, we have an echo of that today with the Masons. And they have a whole series of rites and rituals and things that are secret, and we have these ritualistic mysteries that come up there. So, how are these produced? And again, we are 300 years before Shakespeare. Short plays. This is where York is located, so it's pretty well up in the British Isles. York, major commercial center, trade, a lot of money in York, and they have the means, the resources, and the public spirit to begin to produce these plays. And next week we'll talk in detail about how we evolved to this point, and how all of Western drama really does come out of what happened in the church. But for today, we're just going to say this is York, and the other mystery plays were produced within about 150, 200 miles of this. But as I said, there's only four scripts that are extant. The means of production was unique. These are done on what is known as a pageant wagon. It's essentially a stage on wheels. You can see the wheels down here, and they are in a courtyard raised above the people, outdoors, and there were 2 ways of production. Each play would have its own wagon, and in some context, the wagon would shift, would roll along to the next group of people at various stations, and in some context, it would be that the people would move. But short plays, 10 minutes, some longer, and we begin with creation. And they would see God as a master craftsman. This is a play done by guilds, and who is the best guild member? God. You know, he's going to create the universe, he's going to create man in a very skillful way. And so they are on these wagons, and the costuming is always contemporary. So you will not see medieval stuff, you will not see costuming for the time of Christ, and who knows what Abraham wore. But here, they would wear what the guild person would be having. And this is a little more elaborate. This is later. This gentleman riding the horses, the rather festive bouquet on his head there. Even the horses are wearing flowers here. Very special. You don't see that very often around here. And here is a contemporary. This is York. And we see a version of the pageant wagon. These are people from the city. There's a gentleman over on the outside here who has a bagpipe, and this is Noah. This is the play of Noah. And in the play of Noah, Noah is he's an inveterate tinkerer, always doing things and building, and finally God comes to him and says, Noah, I want you to build this huge boat. And then an important character here is Noah's wife, who was saying, what do you mean you're going to build a boat? And she's on him the entire play about what a terrible idea. We have all these other things that need to be done, and here you are going to stand up here and build a boat. There's no water, and then he says, yeah, but that's not the end of it. We're going to bring all these animals in here. And he says, no, we're not going to, but this is, and what we have in this play and throughout these is a direct juxtaposition of tragedy, comedy, even slapstick in lanterns. When I come back to these plays, we'll see at the crucifixion, they have these 4 workmen who've been assigned to put Christ on the cross. And Christ is laying there on the cross, and the guy said, oh, I brought the wrong kind of hammer. And they were rather, he's getting it on there, and Christ is laying there, and you have to get it up, and the guy says, oh, my back is terrible, I can't do this today. You know? And against the crucifixion. And this is the complexity of these plays. And we'll see how this develops into Shakespeare. But there is a direct correlation between this tradition and what happens next. We are in an era of high degree of illiteracy. The Bible is in Latin. How do we transmit the elements of faith, the Bible stories? How do we tell the people about this? And one way was that on the exteriors of all the great medieval cathedrals are carvings. And you see scenes from the Bible, you see the saints, just complex textbooks, literally. And I spent some time on an NEA grant in Paris studying the great cathedrals of France. And I was in this small group of academics, and I was just becoming an academic at the time, so I didn't have all the biases and prejudices that they would carry. But when there was something that there would be a scene depicting heaven or something, and if they didn't agree with it, and it didn't fit into their art history theories, what they would say, oh, this is just a fiction. And I would suggest to you that the great truths of Western and Eastern civilization are in fiction. I mean, this is what we learn from, this is what literature is. But for them, for the art historians, fiction was a derogatory term. It was a dismissal completely. But here, and the first of the 2 plays that we are going to look at today is Isaac and Abraham. One of the more chilling stories in the Bible. this is Shot Cathedral. This is Abraham, and he's clutching the dagger. And he has Isaac down here by the throat. And he's about to slit his throat as a sacrifice. And if you were a person Shot is early 1300s, mid 1300s perhaps, by the time these sculptures come along. And you are standing there and you would see, what is the story? It was also told by stained glass windows. Here's Isaac and Abraham again. Up in the corner here, you see an angel descending and trying to stop the dagger in Abraham's hand. There's the ram in the bushes. There's Isaac bound, hands bound on the altar with the wood. There's the fire about to burn. There's the smoke ascending to God. All of this being shown. Again, Isaac and Abraham. This on the edge of a ritual murder. And the sword here is very much an Arabian kind of slashing sword. Isaac has a look of resignation down here, and all of those elements, and there's the angels of God moving in. We're going to look at the first of these plays. And this is a production done by the National Theatre of Britain in the mid-80s, from a script by Tony Harrison. And these are professional actors. They are not of the community as they would be in the plays. And they were staged in a large hall, maybe 3 times the size of Tucker Hall here, but in contemporary costume, when God appears, he rides up on a forklift. And he's up at the top of this with a construction helmet and a beam coming down. And the audience is sitting all around in what they call promenade staging, so they are right up against the action, and they are moving in and out. What we're going to see here is Joseph comes out and he's going to say, here is my son Isaac, I love him, he's a wonderful young man. And Isaac comes out and my father, I'm obedient to you. And as we go on, he says, the father says, we have something to do. And he says, we're going to make a sacrifice. And he says, here, carry this wood, carry the fardel. And they get to the point, and Isaac says, well, where's the animal? And you'll see what begins to happen here, where God comes down again as a construction workman sits down and tells Isaac that his son he has to kill. We're going to look at this. These were tapes from the mid-80s. Some of them have faded a bit, but that's all right, because it's going to put you in imagine that you are in a town square, and you're not going to hear every word. You're going to hear the verse, and we'll talk as to how that verse works, because these plays are all in verse. Short couplets, short verse lines. Isaac, thy son thou must kill. 4 beats, as opposed to, oh, what a rogue and testless slave am I, which is an iambic, which comes in much later with Shakespeare. But you'll see the verse, and the verse helps you listen. You may not hear every word, but you're going to get it, you're going to get the main things, and the actors are going to transmit the action. So, don't try to get every word. Let it come to your heart. love to have a pointer this one. This is something that the guild members never had to deal with. There was a certain wisdom to it all. I think that it's here, here.
Abraham, my name is. Patriarch of age for all. Yet by the grace of God is bred in mine old age a child who will. Isaac Lowe's name is Lord, my sweet son that standeth me by. Among all children who walk on water, a loving child is come truly. I thank God without forewhile of his great mercy and his high grace, but principally for my sweet child, that shall to me do great solace. Now my sweet son, so fair of face, happily do I love thee, but you are not enough now in this place. My sweet child, come kiss now me.
At your bidding, your mouth I kiss. With lowly heart I do pray. Your fatherly love let me never miss. But bless me, your child, both night and day.
And may no man love better his child than Isaac here is loved of me. Almighty God, merciful and mild, O my sweet son, I worship thee. I thank thee, God, with our full free, for this fair fruit casting. Now, gracious God, may so it be, to save my son evermore be bent. Abraham, my servant Abraham, O Lord, already here I am. Take Isaac, the loved little lamb in whom the heart takes all delight, and cut his throat upon yon height, and sacrifice his blood to spill, with sword and fire upon yon roof. Abraham, his son Isaac, must that kill? Lord, to be is thy intent, ever to be obedient. That son that thou to me hast sent, often I will to thee. My God, Lord, omnipotent, I bid him, Lord, done shall be. Make you ready, my dear darling, we must do a little thing. This would be what my back bring. We may no longer bide. And fire and sword that I will take. Sacrifice that beholds to me. God's bidding I will not forsake, whatever obedient be.
Father, I am ready to do your bidding most meekly. Bear this wood full bound of mine as ye commanded me.
Oh, Isaac, my darling dear, my blessings do I give you here. Take up this faggot with good cheer, and on your back it bring. Father, thus I will take.
Your bidding I will not forsake. Father, haste now will I make to fulfill your bidding.
Now, Isaac, son, go we our way to yonder mount, if that we may. Oh, my heart will break in three. To hear thy words I have pity. As thou wilt, Lord, so must it be.
The butcher's guild.
Already, Father. Lo is here. The wine with you, so in I always read. Father, if it be thy will, where's the beast that we shall kill?
Thereof son is none upon this hill that I see here upon this stead.
But, Uncle, so it appears, see you there, that sharpened knife. I hope I will return the life you will not slay your child.
Ready not my child, I read. Lord, will send this Godhead. Some kind of a beast into this field, give the same old wild.
Brother, tell me all I go, whether it's alarm or no.
Oh God, that me is woe. How burst my heart in sunder.
Brother, tell me of this case, why you your sword outdrawn us. We busy naked in this place, then why I great wonder.
Son, peace, I pray thee. Thou breaks my heart and on in three.
Please, Father, like nothing from me, but tell me what you think.
Isaac, Isaac, I must be killed.
What's that? Is that your will? Your own child for a spill upon this hill steep brink? If I've trespassed in any way you stick, you may bring me. But if you thought you will be for a boy child.
Yes, I am sorry to do to thee this great annoy. God's command, but do must I. His work for rifle mine.
Is it God's will I shall be slain?
Son, I cannot hide from you. It is God's bidding I must do.
Then you must do what God has bid, but shall not be mother what you did.
Isaac, Isaac.
Blessed shall be. Almost my wit I lose, but the blood of my body shall free. I am for lose.
Father, since you must needs do so, let it pass lightly and overgo. Kneeling upon my knees too, your blessing on me spread.
My blessed dear son to my thee, and thy mother's will also free. The blessing of the Trinity, my dear son, on the light.
Pray, Father, I my line, that I will see not the sword so keep. You stroke, Father, I would not spy the side against extreme or crime.
My dear son Isaac, speak no more. Thy words make my heart full sore.
Oh, dear Father, wherefore, wherefore? Since I must needs be dead, of one thing would you pray. Since I must die the death today, as few strokes as ye well may when ye smite off my head.
Thy weakness, child, makes me afraid. My sword may be overwhelmed.
Oh, dear Father, do away, you're making them us mourn. Truly, Father, this talking do but make long tarry ye. Pray you come and make ending. Let me hence be gone.
Come in the child. Thou art so sweet. Thou must be bound of hand and feet.
Father, we must no more meet by all that I can see. God's commandment you must fulfill, for needs so must it be. But Father, I cry in mercy for all that ever I have trespassed to thee. Forgive them, Father, that it may be until doomsday.
Oh, my dear son, let be thy mourns. Blessed be thy body and bones, and I forgive thee here. Now, my dear son, here shalt thou lie. Until my workman must I lie. I cannot leave myself to die. As thou, my daughter, dear.
Father, if you be to me kind, about my head a kerchief bind, and let me lightly out of my mind soon that I was sped.
Now, farewell, my sweet son of grace.
I pray you, Father, turn down my face a little while you have space, and full soul of dread.
Oh, heart, if thou should break in three, thou shalt never master me. I will no longer let for thee. My God, I may not be.
Mercy, Father, why tell you so? Smite up my head and let me go. I pray you rid me of my woe, for now I take me leave.
Son, my heart will break in three to hear thee speak such words to me.
Oh, tease you!
majesty. My soul I offer unto thee. Lord, to it be kind.
Abraham, hold back thy hand and spare to spill thine Isaac's blood. All that thy God did command thou didst obedient and good. Thy son is spared. But understand I, mine own son, free of sin, will sacrifice, to break the band the devil has all mankind within. His son has spared him for to spill, like his Isaac, my loved lad, shall do full-heartedly his father's will, and not be spared stroke sore and sad, but done to death upon her hill.
Extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. What it does, Abraham and Isaac is the trope. We know the short story, but what we have here are the reality details. You know, we're going to go, bind my eyes, a wonderful line in the middle of us, but don't tell mother. You know, this today, I mean, across 6 centuries, we still have that same basic human component. You're going to chop my head off, but please don't tell mom. And it's these details that make the stories come alive, that take it from the mystery to the moment and to our hearts. We're going to look at a second short play, and this is Mary and Joseph. Joseph is an older man, marries this young maid, and you'll see the beacon of the angel Gabriel pick Mary out of the crowd, and Joseph's frustration, he's beguiled. What is this? What does this mean?
maiden young shall bear a son among Hebrews, that of all countries shall be king, and govern all that on earth rule. Emmanuel shall be his name, the same God's Son in heaven.
I am beguiled. How know not I? My own wife is with child full great, which makes me sorrow and sort. Of a certain the child is not mine, and that reproof does me pine and makes me flee from home. My life will I resign, she is a plea urging to me without blame. But well I wot through prophecy a maiden clean should bear a child. Yet it's not so surely, because I wit I am beguiled. Nevertheless, it is my intent to ask her who got her there. That would I know where I went. Oh, Head, God be hear me.
Welcome, as godly speed. Doubtless to me is full dear. Joseph, my spoke, are ye?
Have mercy, Mary, say what she had told me in sooth I was with thee. Who has been there? Thy womb is waxen great, think me thou art with child, alas, for care is this Mary.
Sir, God's and yours.
You can't be at me so unfaithful fantasy. Our sleeves full war for gold, I cannot die. Look to me, this is a careful case. Reckless array, breast is marina, they'll go mad in the face for dreadful gold. When I were dead, me all my life. Whose is the child thou art withal?
Yours, sir, and the kings of bliss.
Thou art young and I am old, such works, if I do, would these games from me are gone. Therefore tell me, privity, whose is the child thou art with now?
Lo, great God of his might, that all ransom died, meekly to thee I bow. Rue on this weary wight, that in his heart may light the truth to ken and know.
Who hadst thy naked Mary, a soul of mine?
I am a maiden clean.
No, that speaks against kind. These words from thee are wild. A maid to be with child, such thing like no man signifies, he's not born a weed.
Lucy, ye are beguiled, but sin was I never defiled. God sending his only seed.
God send it. Yeah, God.
I, Gabriel, am God's angel I, that have taken Mary to my keeping, and sent to thee aloud to cry. In leal wedlock leave thee, leave her not, I forbid thee. No sin of her imply, but to her fast thou speak thee, and of her naught thou dread thee. God's word this from on high, the child that shall be born of her is conceived of the Holy Ghost. All joy and bliss then shall be after, and to mankind of all the most. Jesus his name thou call, such hap shall him befall, as thou shalt see in haste. His people saved he shall, of evils and angers all, that they are now embraced. Went forth to Mary thy wife always, in heart of Bethlehem this ilk night, there shall a child born be, God's Son of heaven is he, and man, and most of man.
My yea, Mary, I am to blame for words that to thee long since spake. But gather up now all our gear, such worn weeds as we wear, and press them in a pack. Let's lay amongst it there, for little things will women fear. Come, on it.
Another extraordinary piece. That look of Joseph when he comes back and he's engulfed in the mystery of it. And we're going to wrap today, but I would like you to look at the mysteries in your life. The mysteries that are presented here are all from the village, all from the town. But what's out there are your mysteries, your family stories, your family traditions. How Uncle Gus knocked down the Christmas tree with his new tennis racket. He couldn't quite get there. And about how your mother found that ring in her stocking that was when your father asked her to marry him. Or the sister that prayed and was saying that there would be a Christmas miracle to help with the cancer, and it never came. Mysteries. And what we will see next week is how this Advent season brings us to engage with what is in the Bible, not as some tropes, but as a document of human suffering, comedy, slapstick that it is. And I'll see you next week. Thank you. We have time for a few questions if you'd like to do something. Yes.
You mentioned four that are extant. Are there, do we have evidence of the others?
We have some evidence, but we don't have texts. You know, I mean, these were very fluid texts. They would change them, they would add them, and you've got the butcher who can really act a bigger part in this and cut somebody else. You know, it's the same thing that happens in theater all the time. You know, all those acting butchers need work. But yes, we have evidence that there were others.
Did the Puritans disfavor these or shut them down?
Henry shuts these down. Henry VIII closes these down, and which leaves a vacancy. And what we have then is Shakespeare arising out of this theater tradition, and we'll talk more about that next week, how this comes out. We have verse, we have the juxtaposition of tragedy and comedy. We have this, what we now know as Shakespeare, what we call Shakespearean scope, from Doomsday to the creation and back again. Yes?
So a lot of them end up referencing the New Testament, the Old Testament stories.
Yes, well, we go in from this point into the only New Testament after the crucifixion is Doomsday.
But the Abraham story reference Trinity.
Right.
So they reference forward to give the context.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this is all a teaching tool.
Would women have been permitted to act back in its original days?
You know, women were not, they were involved in support, but as was in the theater of Shakespeare, men did the acting role, so you would have men playing Noah's wife and Mary.
I just want to thank you for presenting this very human story from the Bible. It's so.
It's what the Bible is, but you have to have some help with it to get in there.
Thank you for your help.
You're welcome, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
St. Nicholas